brown hair, and I have so much gray right now that I decided to go blonde to kind of, help it out. And now everybody's like, are you guys twins? So I'm not that much older. And my eyesight's better, so. No, I'm really thankful to be here. We pastor a small church up in Streator. I don't know if you're familiar with Streator. It's one of those towns that unless you're going to it, you wouldn't know it's there. There's no major highways or anything near it. So if you have to go there on purpose, and then when you do, you go, this is it. But we've been there about 5 years, and it's been quite the journey. So I wanted to start off with something that is in my book, and I thought that this is just something practical to help you out. If you ever need to clean your house in a hurry, I have some tips. As a pastor's wife, you often get the, hey, can we drop by? And your house is a wreck. So I have some tips that maybe will help you out. And number one is blankets cover a multitude of sins. If you don't have time to clean out those garage sale boxes that you've accumulated in the back room, or the stuff that you'll eventually sell, but maybe not for another year, just throw a blanket over it and place a stack of books and a candle next to it. Then it will look like a comfy reading nook, and your visitors will be impressed by your space set aside for knowledge. All right? Number two, in the kitchen, put the large dirty dishes on top, because then it looks like there's only 2 or 3 of them, and all the little dishes on the bottom. So then it looks like, I just haven't got to that pot, and they don't see everything underneath. Tip number 3, couch cushions can easily hide multiple small items that really should be taken upstairs, but who wants to go up and down the stairs that many times? So if the cushions become lumpy, you just tell your visitors that you just fluffed the cushions prior to their arrival, and they will see you as being hospitable, and they will feel honored. It's a win-win. Number 4, don't allow visitors to use the bathroom. Just put an out of order sign on the door, and then you're good to go. No need to spend an hour cleaning that room. It is the smallest room in your house, and therefore insignificant anyways. Tip number 5, Febreze. That's it. Febreze. Tip number 6, throw every item that was out of place into a guest bedroom or your child's bedroom. You can clean that out next month when somebody comes and needs to stay in that room. Number 7, throw pillows. They cover stains. Just throw pillows everywhere. And tip number 8, and this is the last tip, if you remodel a room in your home, never finish it completely. So then if company comes over and the house is a mess, you can blame it on the remodeling. Excuse the mess, we're remodeling the bathroom right now. They don't have to know that it's just the outlet cover that's left. You can just use that as an excuse. So maybe that'll help you on your journey to a cleaner home. And that's, if I can give you one thing today, I want to just give you that wisdom. Now, I had something totally different planned. I told Janessa on the way, or last night when we were talking, I had like 2 or 3 different things, and it's one of those times where I just felt like I wasn't sure which direction God was going to go. And with what Janessa said this morning, it really confirmed what God had laid on my heart. And it's not really necessarily a Mother's Day sermon. If I look around this room, I don't know most of you, but I know that some of you have gone through loss. You've lost your mother. Some of you may have lost a child. And so Mother's Day is not always the happiest time for everyone. And so with that, I just want to honor all women today and give a message that will maybe speak to your heart. This last year was very rough for most of us. In 2020, this was the year that was supposed to be amazing. 2020 was supposed to be the best year. And let me read you some things about 2020 that most people might not have realized. This last year, on 2020, Valentine's Day was going to fall on a Friday. Perfect date night, right? Cinco de Mayo would also fall on a Friday. Or on a perfect Taco Tuesday, excuse me. The 4th of July and Halloween would also align, landing on Saturdays. Christmas would be on a Friday. New Year's would bring in a solid 3-day weekend. We thought this was going to be a perfect year. And then on March 15th, I remember we were at a pastor's retreat, and we hadn't gotten away in quite some time. And we got there on Sunday, and on Monday morning we got a call from our daughter who was at college, and they said they're shutting the college down. And, you know, she didn't have a key to the house, so we went and we picked her up, and we left that retreat because we couldn't stay there with her with us as well. And it just seemed to start a series of events that became harder and harder. And for a lot of people, we heard over and over that we're in this together. That was every commercial. We're in this together, but don't be together.
Yeah,
just
right.
be apart. And for so many, it became such a hard, lonely, and desperate time. We visited with some widows in our church who were struggling so much because when you're a widow and you're staying at home by yourself and nobody can come by to check on you, nobody can hug you. We had one lady that said, I just want hugs. I haven't had a hug in so long. And it became a period of what I call the silence of God. Is God really silent? No. But that's what it was feeling like for a long time for a lot of people. Just last week, my daughter went through a period. She had a car for 8 days. And she picked up this car, and it was beautiful. It was the nicest car she'd ever owned in her 20 years on this planet. But her car that she had at school was a rust bucket of a car. It was falling apart. It literally, she turned the corner one day going home to her dorms, and the wheel fell off and just rolled. The front wheel, just there it went. And she didn't even know. She couldn't find it for a little while. Thankfully, she had just turned into the parking lot, but she had come home for a visit, and she went back to school, and when she got back, the back tires were like this. And it was that the frame was rotting out underneath. So we said, you know what? I told her, this is a saying in our house. I said, who am I? And she always says, you're the mom that gets stuff done. And whenever there's a problem, we get stuff done. It doesn't go undone, and we'll take care of it. And so I said, I'm the mom that gets stuff done, so we're going to the car place today, and we're going to get you a car for $100 a month. And she's like, that's ridiculous, Mom, it won't happen. And it did. And we got this car, and she had it for 8 days, and it was a 2009 Saturn Aura. It doesn't sound like much, but it had heated leather seats, and it was beautiful. No rust on it. And she was so proud of that little car, and she had it for 8 days. And on Sunday morning, I got a call at 6:30 a.m. And she's crying, and she's hysterical, and she said, Mom, I was in a car accident. And I said, okay, are you okay? Are you okay? And she said, hold on, the paramedics are here. And I'm going, what's going on? Right. And she said, I hit an ambulance. And as a mom, when you hear that, your heart just drops. I said, are you okay? Are you okay? Yes, I'm fine. And they were asking her all the questions. Who's the president? What year is it? And all that. And she's answering all the questions in a very shaky voice. And I said, I'm on my way. And I was almost 2 hours from where she was. And I don't think I've ever gotten dressed that quick in my life. And we were out the door, and we got to the hospital. And thankfully, God worked everything out, because that morning we also had a special speaker at church, so we didn't have to worry. We just told him, hey, it's all you today. We're gone. And our board stepped up, and we got there, and she walked away with a car that was completely smashed in all the way up to the 2 tires in the front. It had flipped the car around and hit the back and took out the part of the back side and the sides of the car and everything. She didn't remember hitting the back of the car as well. And when we saw that car, just the tears started flowing. And here's what she walked away with. She has a little bruise right here, and she has some stiff muscles. And that's it. And one of the things that she questioned was, why did God let this happen? Mom, I just got this car. You know, things were just starting to work out. And you know, there are many times that we feel like We're so small. We're so insignificant. We're so overwhelmed with all the problems that we have. But you know, Elijah felt that way in the Bible. Just after this greatest miracle, if you remember, they were going to call fire down from heaven and see whose God was real. And so the group serving the false gods were over there, and they're cutting themselves, and they're crying out to their God, and nothing is happening. And they're screaming, and they're doing all the things to try and get their God to answer and consume this wood pile with fire from the sky. And nothing happened. And Elijah goes, pour water on mine. And they said, what? No, I mean, just fire from heaven, that's miracle enough. He goes, no, let's just pour water on it too. And I think he was feeling a little bit cocky at that point, right? And so they pour water on it, and he calls on God, and boom, fire comes, and it consumes all of the water, and it consumes all of the wood and everything around it. And God had just answered this big miracle in his life, but what happens is Jezebel gets upset and says, I want him dead because of this. So Elijah, after seeing this great miracle, after seeing God do this awesome, amazing thing that nobody else could do, now all of a sudden he's scared for his life. The God that could bring down fire couldn't protect him. And that's the same thing that we do in life. When things happen, when they're good, we're all excited. God did this great thing, and it's amazing, and God is looking out for me. And with Allie, we said, God protected you in this car. It could have been so much worse. You weren't hurt. God protected you. And then the next moment we go, now what are we going to do about a car? But the same God that protected this girl in this vehicle, you know, the tow truck guy, when we got there, and he does this all the time, he goes, was she okay? Please tell me she was okay. Because he sees these accidents all the time, and he said they don't usually walk away from an accident like that. They usually don't walk away. And so we could say that God did this great, amazing thing, and then the next day turn around and be scared and not know what to do. And that's what happened with Elijah. And then he goes and he runs away, and in his running away, he stops at this tree, and God allows him to rest. And then God allows an angel to wake him up, feed him, give him some food, give him some water, get some more rest. And then he gets up and he's still running. So not only has God provided this great miracle, now God has provided food and rest and everything that he needed. And now he's still questioning God. In 1 Kings 19, 11 and 12, there's something that happens there. We realize in this moment that it wasn't that God wasn't speaking. It wasn't the silence of God that we perceive. He just didn't know where to listen. Verse 11, the Lord said, go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by. And a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord, but the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord wasn't in the fire. And after the fire came what? Does anybody know? Small, still voice, or a gentle whisper. He had to learn to listen. That God was still there. God hadn't abandoned him. God hasn't abandoned you. You know, years ago, and I've told this story many times, and it's one of my favorite stories of God speaking to me. And I was at a women's conference. It was a pastor's wife conference, actually. And all these pastors' wives are sitting around the table, and they're all decked out, and they look fantastic. And I come in, and I'm like, oh, this is my Walmart dress, okay, you know. And they were all talking about these amazing things that were happening at their church. Oh, we just built on another building, and it's fantastic. We just had 300 people come and get saved Sunday morning, and they're all coming back to the church now. We just added 300 new members. And they're talking about all these great and wonderful things, and I had no stories like that to share. And I felt so small and so insignificant in that moment, and I started to get mad. You ever just get mad? maybe you just get mad at God and you think, why aren't you answering my prayers? You seem to be answering everybody else's prayer. Let's just be honest for a moment. We have those thoughts. And I'm sitting at that table and I'm upset. And they started a little bit of a prayer service right after that. And I stopped in that service and I said, God, do you even know my name? You seem to know everybody else. Do you know my name? And I just kind of went back to my seat. And a lady came up to me, and I think she was the speaker that night. I can't remember clearly on that, but I'd never seen her before in my life. And she said, God wants you to know today that he loves you and that you're his little prayer warrior. And she just walked away. And it probably meant nothing to her. When I was little, my grandpa used to introduce me to all his friends, not as Amy, but as, this is my granddaughter, she's my little prayer warrior. She's my little prayer warrior. Everywhere we went, we would go to garage sales. This is my little prayer warrior. I don't know. Because I would pray for him when he would get a headache, I think. I don't remember that. But he always introduced me like that, and I always remembered that. And in that moment, God spoke to my heart and said, I don't just know your name, I know your nickname. There's a lot of people that know your name. The IRS knows your name, right? They come calling. If you don't pay your taxes, they know your name. They know where you live, all of that, but they don't know your nickname. Only the closest people know your nickname. How many of you have a nickname? Maybe that just some people call me by this nickname. My dad calls me Amers. Nobody else calls me Amers. That's weird. If somebody else, my husband will do that to me sometimes just to get that weird reaction. He'll be like, how you doing, Amers? And I'll be like, But God knows my nickname because he knows, in that moment he was speaking to my heart that he knows me so intimately that he knows things that other people don't know. That's not something I tell everybody, but God knows that. I love Psalm 116. It says, I love the Lord, for he heard my voice. He heard my cry for mercy because he turned his ear to me. I will call to him as long as I live. The cords of death entangled me. The anguish of the grave came upon me, and I was overcome by trouble and sorrow. Then I called on the name of the Lord. O Lord, save me. And the Lord is gracious and righteous, and he is full of compassion. The Lord protects the simple-hearted. When I was in great need, he saved me. Be at rest once more, O my soul, for the Lord has been good to you. For you, O Lord, have delivered my soul from death, my eyes from tears, and my feet from stumbling, that I may walk before the Lord in the land of the living. Maybe you've gone through one of those periods, and I know this is not the typical Mother's Day tea kind of thing, but maybe there's someone that needs to hear that there's still that whisper.
Amen.
You just have to listen for it. He's still there. Yeah. He hasn't abandoned you. You're not alone. As much as this world right now wants to tell us we have to be alone all the time, you are not alone. And he is there with you. So let's pray.